Hi, this is Joel Persinger. I'm the Gun Guy. Thank you very much for watching my videos. I really do seriously appreciate it. I've been asked a number of times by, through email and comments and on Twitter and Facebook and everywhere else, what I think might be a good suitable rifle for restrictive states like California. And specifically, I've been asked a number of times whether a great rifle for restrictive states where there's magazine restrictions and they don't like detachable magazines and that kind of thing might be an SKS rifle like this one. So I've got a couple of them here I borrowed from a friend who's a collector. This is one without an optic on it. And just to show you that you can mount an optic on an SKS, here's one that does have a cheapy optic on it, which I couldn't find out who made it because it just couldn't figure it out. But the guy that owns it told me that it cost him about 40 bucks or 35 or 40 bucks for it. It's got a little kind of illuminated scope on it that isn't too bad. Before I get into these, let me thank some Patreon people. I know that if you're not a Patreon person, this probably gets redundant, but nevertheless, I want to thank them because they're helping us out. Trip426, thank you. Todd D, Gustavo, Nicholas H, Alexander B, Mike H, oddly enough, the Yankee Marshal. Thank you very much, brother. I love your show. So you're much funnier than I am. And I love your channel, so I appreciate it. Thank you for the contribution. James K, Kenneth G, and Jason D. Does this mean that I need to contribute to the Yankee Marshal's channel? It probably does, so maybe I will. I'll go see if he's got a Patreon page. Maybe we'll do that. All right, back to these real quick. Let's talk about these. These are great rifles. So in my humble opinion, I was asked, are these great defensive rifles in restrictive states? I'm going to tell you, I think these are great. They're great defensive rifles anywhere. These were designed a long time ago. You're talking 1943 when the design was, really finished, more or less. They went in service for a short time. They were discontinued by the Soviets in the early 50s because they had the AK-47 and they liked that better. However, these things were made by Soviet bloc countries all over the world. I mean, there's millions of them. The Soviets themselves made almost 3 million of the stupid things. They still use them in Russia, I think, as ceremonial weapons, much the way we still use the M1 Garand with, with honor guards and that kind of stuff. And you'll still find them in service in many places. I have many friends because of my age who served in Vietnam, and they saw these all over the place. I think they're probably still found in other places where we're fighting Afghanistan, Iraq, and so on. I've never been to either of those places, so I don't know. You would know more than I. But I can tell you they're sort of a ubiquitous rifle. Every country you go to, you find these. They're really a good rifle for a lot of things. They're used for hunting and other things in different countries, but there are some limitations to them. So let's talk about those. It is not a modern design in the sense that it's got a fixed magazine. You can open it up if you pull on the gate and dump the rounds out if you want to do that, when you want to clear it. But once it's closed up, it's a fixed magazine and it's fed using either one round at a time or a stripper clip that fits in that little notch right there, and then you push them down and they all go in. Okay, so you can do that. You get 10 round stripper clip, 10 round fixed magazine. That means loading it is going to be a little slower for you on reloads. Here's the other issue. With a modern rifle, if you've got the rifle mounted and you're in the middle of the fight, you can deal with all the things that you need to do to reload the rifle from under here. You don't have to do it with your shooting hand, you can do it with your support hand. That's not going to be possible here. I mean, I don't know of a way to do it, which means the gun has to come off your shoulder in order to be reloaded so that you can take your stripper clip or one round at a time or however you're going to do it and shove them down in there. And if you're in the middle of a firefight, there's a lot of stress associated with that. My hope is that you're behind cover. I wouldn't suggest, no matter what kind of rifle you've got, standing out in the open. That's just a recipe for getting shot, killed, whatever. But this is stuff you're going to have to do probably behind cover. So you want to plan for that. And then the stripper clips are kind of a booger to load. You're going to lose them along the way, much like you would a magazine. It's a lot easier to manage magazines too than it is clips. Once you push it, you're going to drop it and it's gone. And if you're worried about the zombie apocalypse or something, sooner or later you're not going to have any more. And then you're loading it one round at a time. So that is an issue with the rifle. Personally, as a civilian defensive arm, I think that's a minor consideration. The rifles do hit hard. They shoot the 7.62 by 39 round, same thing as an AK. It hits harder than a 5.56 for sure. It'll crash through a block wall a lot better than a 5.56 will. Comes with its own ready to use bayonet. I don't know, I just like those. I think they're cool. I don't know if I'm going to be doing any bayonet charges in my life, but I just think they're neat because I like knives as well. This one does not have an optic on it, and we took it to the range. I shot it quite a bit without the optic. And then this one I shot with the optic, and honestly, there was a little bit of a difference as far as performance was concerned and accuracy. But let me talk about accuracy with these kinds of rifles, because I hear it all the time. These get bagged on once in a while. The Ruger Mini 14 gets bagged on. That's not a war rifle, but these things have been used in wars and conflicts all over the world. These things are combat accurate. So you're not going to get a rifle that stacks rounds on top. You're not going to drive nails with it. You're not going to keep every round in a little, area the size of a quarter at 100 yards. It's not going to happen. It's a 3 MOA to 6 MOA gun. Depending on the gun, you're going to get it. It's going to give you about a 3-inch pattern at 100 yards to maybe a 6 or 8-inch pattern at 100 yards. It depends on the ammo, it depends on the gun, and it depends on the shooter. And it depends on the sighting mechanism. You put a little red dot on it or something, it's going to be better. It's going to be easier. But it's still going to be combat accurate. At 100 yards, if you are putting every round in an area this big, okay, that's not minute of angle. Minute of angle would be everything within an inch. But that certainly is minute of enemy, certainly is minute of bad guy. If you can do that at 100 yards, you've clobbered the bad guy. If you can do that at 200 yards, you've clobbered the bad guy. And that is what the rifle was designed to do. That's what the Mini 14 really was designed to do as a ranch rifle. It was designed to clobber stuff, that was big enough that you could hit it if you could hit it on a paper plate at 100 yards or 200 yards. Well, that's what they're for. So they're not AR-15s. You can't load them like that. They're not a lot of things. And people criticize them because they're not. I'm going to tell you what they are. They are an extremely reliable, uber reliable, handy little carbine with its own pokey, stabby thing at the end that shoots a powerful cartridge, is extremely fun to shoot. The ammunition is very inexpensive. It's combat accurate. And frankly, unless you're facing a horde of zombies, I would suspect this thing's going to get the job done. Now, we did take them to the range, so let me show you how well they performed there. Talking about these rifles and shooting them is two different things. Talking about them is a lot of fun, but shooting them is an enormous amount of fun. These are great little carbines. They shoot extremely well. These were Russian-made, I think, and the triggers on them weren't bad. I started with the one without the optic on it, and this blue target is a bit of a story. I kept posting my target up on top of this blue one that happened to be on the cardboard, and it kept blowing off in the wind, so I finally just decided to shoot at that target. You'll notice my target is laying on its face there off to the left, and we had to go stick it back up there again. What I discovered the minute I put that target up is that I had black sights up against a black background, and it was tough to find the sights, let alone line them up. So I have a couple of flyers that are high that I think are as a result of that. The rest of them were in a fairly decent grouping for the distance, which arguably isn't, 300 yards out there, but it was about 75, 80 yards, something like that, and ended up with a decent group, particularly for a guy who couldn't see the sights very well. Once I got them lined up, though, it seemed like the rifle shot very well. By the way, we didn't have a single failure all day, and I shot those rifles a lot, and they just ran and ran and ran like a Swiss watch. Now, as you look, you'll see on the target I had a couple of flyers high left, and then I had a little bit of a group around to the left of the bullseye there, and I had 3 that were low. So if you take that group and eliminate the flyers on the high left, you have about a 5 or 6 inch group there. It's probably more like 6.5 inches. And then it's about 9 or 10 inches if you include the flyers. So I busted out the rifle with the optic. Now, I should tell you that when I'm shooting someone else's guns, I don't adjust the sights because I don't know what they want to do with it. So I have people get upset with me and say, sight in your rifle first or something. Well, it wasn't my rifle. I did not change the sights. I was looking more for where's it grouping and what are the groups like. And this particular rifle shot to the left. I'm sorry, I misspoke. Shot to the right. And what you'll find is, as you look at that grouping on the right there, to the right of the red bullseye, you have that group of 10 shots. And that was about 4.5 inches, which is not bad. It's a bit of an improvement with the optic. Just made the rifle so much more accurate. And then, frankly, I just shot them a lot. I shot the one with the optic. I shot the one without the optic. I just burned through a lot of ammunition because I had the opportunity. These are great little carbines, and they are a lot of fun to shoot. So the question essentially was, is an SKS rifle a good defensive rifle in cases where I live in a state like California that is highly restrictive of semi-automatic rifles that might be useful in a fight? The answer to the question is absolutely. Is it perfect for that? No, no rifle is. Even the most modern fighting rifle is not perfect. Is it old? Yes. Has it got a wood stock? Yes. Is it a little heavier? Yeah. Is it got a detachable magazine? No, but that's precisely why it's very positive for states like this. Is it better than an M1 Garand? That's what I get asked to. The answer would be no. I don't know that one is better than the other. They're both similar types of rifles. They feed a little differently. This uses a stripper clip. The Garand uses an end block clip, and the clip goes with it. I would say the Garand is a little easier to load faster. You're going to be able to, unless you practice a lot. But again, it's what rifle do you own? If this is the rifle that you buy and this is the rifle that you own, get a bunch of ammo and go train with it, train with it, train with it, train with it, train with it. And it's going to serve you very well. Both the Garand, which we'll have other videos on, and the SKS are outstanding fighting rifles. And there's nothing to beat them up about. Now, one thing I would mention is that you can get a mount. Let me show you. To put an optic on it. And one of the issues with these older rifles is mounting optics and that kind of stuff. But this mount, which I'll see if I can figure out who made it, and if I can, I'll put it in the description. I don't know, but I'll see if I can figure it out. This mount would work very well, but I urge you to put a red dot or something on it rather than a scope, because the one issue with this rifle is the scope comes out so far that it blocks the loading ramp, or whatever it's called, for the stripper clip, so I can't get the stripper clip in to load it, and I had to load this one round at a time. That said, the fact that I had an optic made it easier for me to see the target and easier to get on the target quickly. I would just put a smaller red dot on it that you know out to 100 yards, 200 yards, it's going to be beautiful, and you're going to be able to put the rounds on target even at night. That was the one addition I would make. So if I can figure out where this mount came from and who made it and how it works, I'll see if I can get a link for you to that. But just so know that even if I can't find the link, if you search around, you'll be able to find a mount to put a red dot optic or something on an SKS. Great rifles. If you're expecting them to be nail drivers or not, if you're expecting them to be sturdy, reliable, strong combat rifles you can use for defense, they're a great choice. They're an outstanding choice. I have one major issue with the SKS rifle, and only one, and I will share that with you right now. Here's this. I don't own one. And I wish I did. I really like them, but I don't own one. Neither one of these are mine. These all belong to a buddy, and unfortunately, he requires me to give them back. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it. If you have a defensive rifle or defensive gun and you are concerned that you one day might have to use it, I want you to check out Second Call Defense. Those are the folks that will back you up legally and provide money for you to get out of jail and provide money for an attorney. They'll even send you money to clean up the inside of your house if you had to shoot somebody in your house, God forbid, and it made a mess. And you never have to pay that money back. You'll find a link for Second Call Defense in the description. Please check them out. It's a company I use, and that's why I recommend it to you. You will need legal support for criminal and civil charges no matter where you live. Maybe not both, but one or the other. Also, if you haven't joined the NRA, please do. We need to get a lot of work done now, and it's time to be on the offensive now that we have some gun-friendly people in office on a federal level. And now is the time to really start working. So the NRA is ready to do that, but they still need your support. Let's not rest. Let's get with it. If you haven't joined the NRA, please do that. There's a link in the description for you to do that, and it will save you a little bit of money as well. I mentioned Patreon. Please support us there if you get a chance. We're just getting ready to launch the next episode of the podcast that comes out on the 5th and 20th of every month, and it's available only on Patreon along with some other videos and that kind of stuff. And the last thing I will mention to you, and I know it's like a big long commercial, but I'm trying to keep the channel alive here, is we just started our Amazon affiliate online store on GunGuy.tv. All the products are from Amazon, so if you buy something through there, you're going to be buying it from Amazon. The price is the same, the deals are the same, the shipping is the same, your Amazon Prime will work, but we get a little bit of a commission, and that helps support the channel. So I urge you to check it out. It's at gunguy.tv, and then just click on the shop button on the top, and it'll take you right to the store. Thank you again for watching. Have a wonderful week. Check out the SKSs. They're bueno, and be safe.